right, here's where the medal count stands right now. We're sucking, I'm not gonna lie. U.S. has 3 silvers. Oh, I know. No gold or bronze. Russia's fake Olympic team, their medal count is 7. And they're probably all juiced up and ready to go. Bunch of bastards. And the IOC probably lets that slide too. Sweden, they're doing well. They've got 3 gold medals. I like Sweden. I'm not mad at them. I like lingonberries and I like Swedish meatballs. I'm not mad at IKEA. I once had a Volvo. Americans are tuning out. It's not because we're not winning. It's because they're protesting China. And we're right. Let's meet the party panel and talk about it. We've got New York Post columnist, the most gorgeous Floridian I've ever met in my life, Carol Markowitz. We've got Democrat strategist, former Biden campaign surrogate, and he said he's going to be my Valentine a week from tonight.
You better believe it.
Yes, it's Kevin Walling. I knew I was going to get a heart box of chocolates. And we've got the director of the Libertarian Institute, the one and only Scott Horton. So much freedom on tonight's show. It almost burns a little in a very good way. Hi, everyone. Good to talk to you. So, Scott,
hey, Kennedy.
I will start with you because I am all for the individual triumphing over adversity, and I will watch the games for them. Are you watching the games, or am I wrong?
You're right, but I'm still not watching them because I just don't care about the Winter Olympics. In fact, last summer, they even succeeded in making skateboarding boring, which I had heretofore thought impossible. And so, yeah, I think either like watching people ice skate around in circles and stuff like that, or you're really not into it. And I don't care, but I do. I really am for the individual athletes, though, too, and I hope that they all really focus on beating their own best and having the best time in their lives that they can have over there.
Yes, for sure. and it's the one competition that elevates performance just out of nowhere. The Olympic bump, it's such a real phenomenon, and I love seeing it. You know, I would not go over to China to watch the games to save my life. I probably will go to Cortina, because Cortina is beautiful, and that's where the games are in 2026. That's in Italy, Kevin Walling, and we should probably get a lovely chateau there.
We should absolutely do that. I'm looking at tickets right after this. Listen, you know, I'm with you. I'm cheering on our 224 athletes that are going to play their heart out. Obviously, we're down on the medal count. Hopefully that will change. But I think, you know, obviously the Summer Olympics are more popular. We just had that 6 months ago. I think that's probably one of the reasons why we're seeing such a dip in viewership among these Winter Olympics. But the most interesting thing I saw was a Morning Consult poll that polled Americans and asked, of those folks that aren't watching the games, 40% of them said because it's being held in China. And I'm one of those people. This is a disgrace that the IOC gave it to China back in 2015 to host once again, following up on the Summer Olympics that they hosted. There's no reason why these games should be held in a country where there is an active genocide of hundreds of thousands of ethnic Uyghurs. It's a disgrace, but we can still support our athletes, of course.
Yeah, and it's not a fair place. It's never going to be a fair place. They did unleash COVID on the world, Carol.
Amen.
Like it or not, I don't like it. I have some new symptoms. I've got this constant buzzing in my ears. So it's 7 weeks. 7 weeks ago today, I'm still coughing and wheezing. I'm on prednisone now. It's super stupid. I blame the commies, but are you watching?
So I'm married to a guy that will watch anybody anywhere in the world throw a ball. And like when we didn't have sports during the pandemic, we watched baseball in Korea. We watched fishing in Norway. We watched who knows what. So I imagine it'll be on at some point in the background. But yeah, absolutely, I am not looking to watch these Olympics. If it's up to me, I will not be watching. I believe that what China did, and I believe that they did it on purpose, is despicable, and they need to be held accountable. I haven't seen any of that yet, so I am absolutely not watching these Olympics because China did a very bad thing, and we need to hold them accountable.
Well, it gets even worse. China is leaving Olympic athletes with a bad taste in their mouths, literally. One Russian athlete shared this photo complaining that her team is being served subpar food. Oh my God, that's like Michelle Obama's lunch meals. Gross. Other Olympians described depressing living conditions that show no understanding for what high-level athletes need. The highest-level athletes in the world. Some say they feel imprisoned in the country. Listen to this Belgian athlete explain what happened after she tested positive for COVID. Oh, dear God. Watch.
I'm supposed to stay here for another 7 days with 2 PCRs a day and no contact with anybody else. I am we are not even sure I will ever be allowed to return to the village. And obviously this is very hard for me. I'm not sure I can handle 14 more days.
That's horrible. How did this Olympics go so wrong? And will anyone ever do anything about it, Scott?
Well, I mean, what a mistake putting the Olympics in a country that has a zero COVID, total authoritarian lockdown policy.
Amen.
The idea that these athletes have to go through this is just crazy. And I saw some of the clips just briefly today in the news where hockey players and even the ski jumpers doing the flippity flips off the ski jump are wearing surgical masks. I wonder if the hockey goalie is wearing a surgical mask under his hockey mask.
Yeah.
It's the most absurd thing. At least it's funny, but it's, I mean, for us, but no, for them, it must be absolutely miserable. And it's a shame that they have to go along. There's nothing anyone can do about it, I guess.
Yeah, that's why, you know, the IOC holds these athletes hostage. If they want to compete at the very highest level, and if they want to do well and gain sponsorships and make money and capitalize on this, as they should be able to, then they have to go along with it. They have no choice.
Well, maybe our government could lean on them, except our government is run by the Joe Biden administration.
Yeah,
so
who enriches
that.
itself, his family enriches itself thanks to the communist Chinese banks and everything else. So, Kevin, they're obviously sticking it to athletes from different countries. Do you think that the Chinese delegation, do they have better living standards and food right now?
They absolutely do. And you're absolutely right to hold the feet to the flame of the IOC for all of this. They're the accountable party for these horrible conditions that athletes find themselves in when they test positive for COVID. And I compare that to the images out of the Great Hall, the Great People's Hall, with President Xi Jinping, an authoritative dictator, having all the dignitaries on hand with this massive dinner in that hall. And you compare that to that Fire Fest meal that was presented to those COVID-positive athletes, and you can totally see the difference, and it's despicable.
It is despicable, but they're never going to own up to it, Carol. There's never going to be comeuppance. It's super lame. Your thoughts?
Yeah. Yeah, you know, the thing is that we pretend that all countries are equal, and China is clearly not on the level of somebody of a country that should be hosting these Olympics.
Somalia,
you know, the bad food, the dirty rooms, the dictatorial atmosphere. That's Tuesday in China. So I think that we got what we should have been expecting. I think that our athletes are really in trouble there. Who knows if these COVID tests are legitimate? Who knows if they're not trying on purpose to hurt other countries' athletes? And this is what we deal with when we deal with a communist country. We can't trust them, and we shouldn't trust them. And going forward, I think we should really take some steps to disassociate from them. I think the corporate glad handling and the celebrity smiling right now are all really sickening, and I think that we really need to disassociate from China and really find a path away from them. They need to become a much different country for us to continue the relations that we have with them.
Having said that, though, the Procter & Gamble commercial with Chloe Kim, she was the gold medal winning Olympic U.S. snowboarder from 2018. If that doesn't make you cry, you've got a heart of stone. So well done, Procter & Gamble.
Go USA.
You reached my heart, and you reached into that communist piggy bank to enrich yourselves, you corporatist bastards. All right, party panel sticking around. We got much more to come, including breaking news tonight. California Governor Gavin Newsom ending his state's mask mandate next week. And it's right on time because Americans are totally fed up with COVID rules. A recent Monmouth University poll found that 7 out of 10 Americans think we need to accept that COVID is here and get on with our lives. We've been saying that for like 2 years on this show. Health experts continue to emphasize that vaccines and not masks are the real protection. But Democrats would prefer to continue the hypocrisy. On Friday, Democrat candidate for Georgia governor Stacey Abrams visited an elementary school outside of Atlanta where everyone was wearing masks except for her. She was immediately called out on Twitter, but naturally her campaign responded with that the criticism is not about hypocrisy. It's racism. You're criticizing her because you're racist. Can't we all just agree that the masks need to go? And if you need a mask, you can wear a mask, but don't make me wear one? The party panel is back. Carol Markowitz, Kevin Walling, and Scott Horton. Scott, why are you so racist against Stacey Abrams?
You know, I can't come up with a reason to be or to stop being. But you know what? I need to make a correction. The last time I was on the show 2 weeks ago, I said I got the URL wrong. It's the COVIDchartsquiz.com. The great Thomas E. Woods has put together all these charts comparing cities and states that had different mask mandates at different times and showing the case rates, the infection rates, the hospitalization, and the death rates. And you cannot pass the quiz. It's just chance because you cannot tell where there were mandates and where there were not.
So what does that mean about
even
masks?
the school marm, it means that they don't work.
That's
you know,
right.
I think about 4 weeks ago, 3 or 4 weeks ago, the school marm lady from CNN, I forgot her name, I'm sorry, but who's been constantly hectoring everyone for 2 years straight here. She said, oh yeah, well, you know, by the way, it's airborne. It's an aerosol, and these viral particles are so small that a surgical mask couldn't possibly do anything unless we're all wearing N95s.
Yeah.
Then just forget about it. Well, people have been wearing just cloth and surgical masks for 2 years now, and now they want what? Especially for the children who aren't even susceptible to the germ, are all supposed to wear N95 masks in government school now and this kind of thing? It's completely crazy. Let these people go, these children.
And you know what really bothers me? If you are going to step into the big leagues and you're going to run for governor, take the criticism. You know, it's like your immutable qualities are not a shield against criticism, especially when you've done something wrong. And that goes for anyone who looks to hide their incompetency behind race or gender or anything else. If you are playing at that level, you're going to take the heat. And that goes for Stacey Abrams and everybody else. You know, it's like just because you're wearing a skirt and you have boobies doesn't mean that we can't say something about you when you've done something wrong. This is wrong. Her dumb, smiling face in a room full of terrorized kids who are going into their 3rd year of being held hostage by these masks. That's a problem.
Yeah, Kennedy, we're in agreement. The optics of that are terrible, and we've talked about this many times before, the untold things that have come of this pandemic in terms of child development with those masks. So I'm hopeful to see so many Democratic governors now with Omicron trending the way that it is. Hospitalizations are down 60%. I'm sorry, infections are down 60%, hospitalizations are down 30%, that we've reached that peak. And now that we can refocus on our children and their achievements and supporting them, and refocus on getting folks back into clinics for regular tests.
Sure.
All of these after effects that we've talked about constantly on the show that have taken a back seat because of Omicron, Delta, the original COVID strain, but we need to move on as a country to this endemic stage.
We've been
out of
saying
this
that
pandemic
forever,
stage, Kennedy.
for a long time. Fauci will never let us. Kevin, can you see my face?
I can.
Okay, I'm going to show you my invisible mask.
Very serious.
This is my invisible mask for Stacey Abrams. Ready? I'm going to put it on. It's on. It's great. All right, Carol, last word here.
Yeah, you know, the thing is that all of these leaders have to admit that the masks never worked. And I don't think that this is the end. You know, I think just the fact that Omicron has been reduced is not a thing because, look, I predict in the summer months, the South is going to again see COVID cases. And then in December, New York is going to once again be surprised with COVID cases. And what we have to say is this masking does nothing. It does absolutely nothing. My son's little Batman mask did not protect him whatsoever. Not for 1 minute, not for 5 minutes, not at all.
Yeah, not
and
for 45
arbitrary
that, I don't
minutes
think
that we can move on.
Made us leave after in the stupid
completely
ski lodge.
Invented, yeah.
Hunter Mountain, I'm calling you out.
Right. So it's not enough that they're giving it up now. They need to give it up going forward, and they need to never come back to it ever again.
Never come back. And I feel bad for Delta and Corona because their brands have been tarnished because of the communist Chinese. Carol, Kevin, and Scott, thank you all so much. Great to talk to you.